Welcome to the Foothills, a Colorado lifestyle and real estate podcast featuring mountain home real estate broker Robert Martin, who has over 25 years of experience assisting clients reach their goals and move forward. Tune in each week for a dynamic conversation with experts, Colorado adventurers, and residents that explores the ins, outs, and specific nuances of buying the perfect mountain home or selling your dream home in Evergreen, Conifer, Bailey, and surrounding areas to catch a glimpse into the Colorado lifestyle that's a part of you.
Thanks for tuning in today. Our guest on the podcast is Dan Geis. Dan, how are you today?
Great. No, thank you.
Well, tell me about yourself and your background, and how did you end up building beautiful custom mountain homes?
Well, I guess, it starts one of my first jobs I ever did. I was started in construction. My whole family is in construction. My dad is an electrical contractor. My grandpa's a builder. My uncle's in excavation. I have an uncle as a builder. And so it's really all I've ever known. And so ever since I graduated high school, I ended up married my high school sweetheart, and I have 3 daughters. And so ever since then, my first job was working for my dad as an electrician. And then I decided that I think I wanted to be more on the building side. So I had an opportunity to work for one of his biggest builders. And after a lot of conversations and with the family and stuff, I decided I'm going to take it. And ever since then, been working for a builder somehow in some capacity as either a project manager or a site superintendent, and eventually got an opportunity to start our own company. So we've been doing that for a while now.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds like it was a pretty easy transition. A lot of things laid out in front of you. Did you grow up in Colorado, in Denver?
No, we're from Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah, from Idaho, and moved out here to take advantage of opportunity in construction. There was a lot of growth here, and wanted to be a part of that and building. There's a lot good opportunity in the foothills for this type of home. The type of homes we want to build. There's lots of opportunity for that.
What type of homes are those that you generally like to build? I know they're customs and they're very, very nice and very beautiful.
Yeah, they're basically like a one-off custom home. I mean, we've never done the same house twice. They're all unique. They're on their own type of, property. Some people have, 200 acres. Some people have, a couple. And so I think that's what's really good for us, is to be in that type of market where the big builders down in town, they don't go up there and they don't do those. So it gives us a great chance to be, competitive and have a niche market to be, the leaders in.
Yeah, that's great. To back up just a bit, I was in Idaho a couple of weeks ago. My brother retired from the Air Force in Mountain Home. So I went out there for his 50th wedding anniversary. It was very nice. I forgot how hot it was out there, but it's kind of in a desert area, but beautiful nonetheless.
It's a lot like the people in the area is a lot like, so it's a great transition for us. We fit right in here, but the weather is the difference. It's a little hot there and a little colder in the winter. I think people have, Colorado has a reputation for being colder or whatever, but it's amazing here. We love it.
Yeah, it really is, Dan. I mean, it's so temperate, and it's really not bad. It's really quite nice. There are times when we have nice sunshiny days, not much snow, and it's snowing in the city, but with the amount of sunshine really makes it very tolerable and very delightful, actually. So how long have you guys been here and been building and on your own in the custom?
So we're on year 5 for our custom home company in Colorado. So.
That's great. Well, can you talk about, Dan, why someone might want to build their own home as opposed to buying one in the foothills or just in general?
Well, I think that it's to get their own, get what they want out of the house. I mean, you get a chance to design it. You get a chance to picture yourself in these spaces and really make it your own. There's not a lot of opportunities, as you probably know, of buying the perfect home out there. Like they're hard to find, and when you do find something, they need a lot of work, and it takes a special person to want to remodel a big project like that. So I think it's to be able to make it your own, find your spot, and really just customize it to your needs for your family.
There are a few things, Dan, too. Once you start to, my wife and I, as I mentioned to you, Dan, before we started the podcast, we built a home in Conifer a couple of years ago. And afterwards, it's like, oh, there's a few things that you think, well, maybe we could have done that differently or this. But overall, we're very happy with what we did. But you're so right. You take some of the ideas that you've had, and then you guys obviously have a lot of good ideas and input, and integrate all of that along with an architect and take into consideration the lot, the topography. There's so much you can't, you're maybe somewhat limited with topography. I mean, you can make it work. It's all probably a matter of cost. You can probably do whatever you want if you want to spend a lot to do different things. But so I'm sure you have to kind of take all of that and put it into the picture to kind of create that dream home.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you nailed it. I mean, it's kind of, everybody's got a budget most likely, and you can focus on the things that matter most to you and try to make the rest work.
What are some of the benefits of building your own custom home? I know you touched on a lot. It's more like just customizing and finding that perfect home is challenging. I always tell people that their wants list sometimes changes, and some of those priorities stay at the top, but they do change. But the benefits as far as resale and things moving forward, what have you seen in the past, the benefits of building your own home?
Well, I think over the last 5 years, really, these people that start a project that they've come up with a plan, we've come up with a budget, and we've by the time we finish the house, they've built so much equity in the home too. So the resale is definitely an option for sure. Most people are way ahead. I think everybody in this climate has been too, but I think that's a great point that you've got something new in a great area, most likely, and that you could turn it around if you had to.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dan, as far as the built-in equity right away. And then you have something you really, really appreciate. I mean, it's like my wife and I, there's really no other place we'd rather live. We'll see where the kids end up, but we're quite happy where we're at. So what are the most important due diligence items, Dan, that you would recommend to someone considering building a home? And who should those folks talk to? Like excavators, different things like that. We're seeing a lot more people kind of moving towards building, and unfortunately, I don't think they do the proper due diligence and find that it's going to be a lot more expensive after they've purchased the lot instead of doing that due diligence prior to.
That's a great question, and you nailed it. Like you see a lot of people buying land and then getting into the process and then needing to turn around and sell the land because they didn't do enough due diligence. The first thing is when you're looking for the property, before you buy it, you've got to know what the building restrictions are on the property. If there's any easements already through there, what type of benefits maybe this land has. Is there a well? Is there a septic design? Is there any sort of driveway already done? Because those are some really big upfront costs. A lot of our projects could have up to like $100K in infrastructure to just make it buildable. So I always, when somebody is looking for land and they call us, we go do a kind of a free consultation. We go see it. And then I always try to get them to invite a civil engineer and an excavator, because say you're buying 30 acres, you've got a vision of where you want the house. Okay. It might not be possible. And so you don't want to just buy it and then try to come up with a way to get this really expensive driveway up there. So we always find a builder, find an excavator, civil engineer, kind of a little team to help consultate that purchase I think is really valuable. And that'd be my number one thing.
Yeah, the civil engineer can look at it and say, okay, with the topography, this makes sense to put your driveway here, put your house here, as from a cost perspective. And also an excavator. There's a lot of good excavators out there, and they're so experienced. They can look at it and say, yeah, you can build there, the cost perspective and that sort of thing. And they might just say, well, this makes the most sense to do, because you could look at the property. And sometimes when you look at it, it looks so different after the trees are removed and the property is excavated. It looks so different. And sometimes it opens up big views that you didn't even know existed. So
that's happened multiple times. We'll have a site meeting out there at the very beginning. And then by the time we've cleared trees and staked the house, these homeowners are so proud of themselves. They like, hey, look what I made this decision, and it, completely worked out, and 100% our favor. And that's happened multiple times. Most of the time, everybody's really happy.
You mentioned, Dan, that there could be an infrastructure cost of $100,000 before they even get started. What would that include? A lot of excavating, that kind of thing?
Driveways, depending on how high or where you want to get your house located, a well, you have to have proof of water before you can even submit for a building permit. And, we're talking a lot of Jeffco area, where you're at. And
so that means drilling a well, actually having water.
Yeah, drilling the well, putting a pump in the well, proving that you have water. So that's a big expense. That's something that's, you have to do before, really, a lot of times before you even get a loan. If you're going to get a loan for the property, those are out of pocket costs. And then, the septic system, and then possibly getting power from, Core or Excel up to your site, and gas. So those are a lot of things that a lot of people who haven't built a custom home kind of think that they buy a lot, and some of that stuff could come with it. And it's kind of surprising how fast those costs add up. And everybody's talking about price per square foot when you're talking about building a home. Well, those are costs in that price per square foot. And it doesn't matter if you're building the 2,000 square foot house or 10,000 square foot house, a lot of those are the same cost. So
what other factors, Dan, are considered to determine an estimated cost to build a home? I know there's a lot that goes into it. You just stated that infrastructure to start out with, depending upon what type of home they want to build. I mean, so when you're talking to someone and you lay out that initial consultation, I think those are really two great people to have on your team, a civil engineer and an excavator, and you guys, someone that has a good level of experience building in the foothills. What other things would you lay out and say as far as looking at cost here, kind of give you a schematic of how to determine what it might cost?
After the infrastructure items, it's the size. It's how big of a home do you need? And really, how big of a home are you kind of forced into building, because it's a slow plot and you're going to have a daylight basement, most of the time. And then your tastes. I mean, you have to be honest with yourself on, everybody's like, oh, I can lower my allowances. And the truth is that's really hard to do when you've already done all of this infrastructure and you've designed this beautiful home. A lot of times it's really hard to cut back on the finishes that you're going to see. So you have to be honest with yourself on your allowances and your finishes after those other things. And the size, it's always the size. Everything's based off of how big you are needing of a home.
It might come to the area too, Dan, you think? I mean, as far as if you're building, and the neighboring homes are all of a certain size or a certain, level of luxury or finishes, you probably want to be commensurate with that. So you take that into consideration as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Have the costs to build stabilized some? I know lumber's gone up and down and up and down, and which costs are much higher and which costs have not increased as much that you've seen?
Well, I think that everybody's heard of the lumber, and and we talk about the lumber futures, more this last year or few years than we ever have our whole lives, and but that obviously has come back down and stabilized. Who knows? We're real honest with people and on how it's unpredictable it is, and how we've got to have contingency built in for lumber, but the other things, there was just everything went up. So it is a lot more expensive to build now than it was, a few years ago. But, labor, most of the time when you get a quote for your projects, the laborers are going to stay really close. Those guys aren't, our framers and our, electricians and plumbers, those guys are keeping their labor costs. It's just, they had to increase materials, obviously, but things are stabilizing as far as stabilizing in the way where we can predict it and we can bid it out and we can control it and keep it in the budget. But there for a while, it was really difficult, as everybody knows. But I think things are stabilizing. And I think, lumber's coming down, and I think we're going to see some more competitive estimates as things slow down in the market overall.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense, as we move forward. Could you say, Dan, on average, between or the cost from this year to last year, percentage wise, 5-10% more, or is it hard to say?
It's hard to say because we're bidding things out, 6 to 9 months before we're really building. So things that we're building right now, probably we're up, 10%. But before it was, it was like, 20-30% a year ago. It just really was really difficult. We had to buy entire houses of lumber packs for a house months before it was going to be ready to be used because the price was going up 20 grand a month. And so
Holy cow.
we had to plan ahead, talk to homeowners, purchase things, have it delivered, and then work around it. And now we're holding off. Like, okay, what is it going to be? But I think we're pretty low right now, and I think that it's going to go creep back up. So we're trying to make purchases again to keep it low.
Yeah, I'm sure there were some tough calls in there where you had to. Of course,
so hard.
Yeah, your clients, I'm sure, understood. It wasn't anything on you. It was just what was going on.
Yeah, most of the people that we're dealing with, and you got to find this everybody should definitely interview multiple builders, and you should try to find somebody that you trust and that you like working with, because it is definitely a relationship that has its ups and downs, and because of the market and the things you're dealing with, and it's a stressful thing to do. But when you have that relationship with homeowners and you're talking about the budget every week or every other week, it's not a shock. It's, hey, this is what's happening in the market. We are planning ahead. We do not need your lumber, but we're seeing the market's going to be higher in 3 months. We should buy now. If you're having that type of relationship with a custom home builder, which that's what you should be doing, then most things work themselves out, and it's a team effort. It's not us against the lumberyard or the homeowners or anything. It's this is the market we're dealing with. And likewise, when things are changing, it's the same thing. Like, we're looking to buy a lumber pack for projects right now, and we're talking about, is it low enough? Should we wait? Is it, does it make sense to stretch the project out another few weeks to see what the new price is? So
yeah, that's a great point, Dan. I'm sure just the communication, just looking eye to eye and saying, here's what it is. And there's an understanding, I'm sure, with your clients, they understand. But that communication, that's great to hear. I'm sure that's critical. So what is the coolest thing, Dan, you've ever installed in a mountain home?
That's kind of a fun question for sure. I love the things these homeowners come up with. It's I'm always a fan of a hidden room with a cool bookcase that opens with with a book, and you go into a theater room or a safe room. I definitely
Harry Potter-esque, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like something that adds interest to the homeowners that they can really show off to their friends and family. And I really am into these pivot front doors. You can get them like 5 foot wide and 10 feet tall, and they when you grab onto something like that to open it to your bring people into your home, it's a statement piece. I think those are some of my favorites. And
so those don't open on a hinge, they have a big
they have
in the middle, and they just kind of, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and so you can see through both sides when you open it. I just love those. You do one, and then when you're showing that off to your future clients, your current clients, they all want to go see that. And now we're gonna have like 4 of them in projects here pretty quick. But
that's cool.
And, when we're talking about the mountains, it's the timbers too. We've got a really cool house up in Conifer near you that has cedar flared posts, like 4 giant ones at the entryway, and one in the middle of the living room, and big timber trusses in the house, which are just so cool. And it's just not normal, right? Like, it's not what people in Denver and in town would ever see in a house. So we really like that. And then now with the modern projects coming through, the unique ideas that these homeowners and architects come up with, steel beam and steel trusses, and it's pretty fun. So anything like that, we love getting the excitement of the homeowners and their special piece that they've been planning and thinking about for years, and making that come to life.
Are you seeing lots of this, Dan, the newer modern style flat roof type architecture, that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really I guess for me too, maybe it's not new to other people, but we have a timber and log home background. And so that's, our standard. And then now with these a lot more modern homes coming through, I feels like kind of the newer thing, but you definitely see them around, and they make a mountain modern. So you'll have a flat roof with a timber, accent or something that makes it fit. It's really, some of these architects are just absolutely incredible what they come up with.
Well, the homes are gorgeous. I agree. They really, and they fit, they fit the topography. A lot of them, they just really fit in there nicely. So who is your ideal client, Dan?
Well, our ideal client, I guess, or my ideal client is as a great person, is somebody that you want to work with and you want to be around, because we build these relationships for, it's a 2-year commitment, really, from when you first meet your builder to you move in. Most of the time it's it's a few year relationship, and hopefully forever. I mean, our goal is to be a builder for life. And so if you ever remodel or you ever want to move, I mean, we want to have that relationship for a long time. So it starts with our ideal client is just a good fit for us. And it doesn't matter if they're building a, 1,000 square foot house or 10,000 square foot house. It's somebody that's, fits our people, I guess.
Yeah. Somebody, like you said, that you get along, you guys kind of, you see eye to eye, you communicate well, and you get a sense for people. I'm sure you spend a little time around them, and you get to know that. And that's good to know that you'll do any size home. And because people are, some people are at different parts in life when they really don't want a big home. They want a smaller home, or their budget won't allow for it. So it's good to know that you guys are flexible, that you work with different types. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but I know a lot of people do look at price per square foot. Is there a range? I mean, 350 to 500, or is that even reasonable? Or
yeah, you're right. Like, it's so hard to answer. We always say, like, what do your groceries cost when you're in a bag of groceries and you go to the store? Like, it really depends on what you put in there. But
what you buy.
Yeah, I mean, the standard is you're not going to get much if you're not, considering 350, range to start with. And then, it could go up to, we have projects from up to 550, but there's an economy to scale on the size of house too. I mean, maybe the more expensive one is a smaller house that you're still told you about the infrastructure and the land. And we don't include the land in the price, but I'm including everything from that purchase on the the first survey that you have done all the way to the final clean. So that is also a little different in the formula that you got to consider. That's, there's a lot included there. But yeah, you got to be in that range of the 350 to the 550 if you're going to build a home up in the foothills.
Yeah, and that's been fairly stable. I mean, I'm sure over the last couple of years that's fluctuated some.
No, I used to say 300 or 275 to 400. So we, those are updated numbers.
Sure. And I think that's maybe a figure that I know it's not the absolute, but it range. It kind of gives people an idea. Part of the due diligence too should be to understand that. Plus, you said like your infrastructure cost, your cost for the land, your financing, and then what kind of home do you want to put on that? If you're considering purchasing a lot and building a home, does that work for you? I mean, do you have the finances to make that work? What does your budget look like? That sort of thing. So,
and the flexibility too, because these banks are kind of, I mean, they're great to deal with. I mean, we work with a couple awesome, banks, but there are times where they have strict rules on how much they will fund. And sometimes the client's got to have cash to put down on material to order, like appliances or things like that. So, but we work, I mean, that's the beauty of getting involved early with your builder, is that they're going to show you all those scenarios, line it out, and then hopefully manage your finances and your budget throughout the process. So they're not surprises, that it's new to you when you first come to us, but we're going to line it out. First of all, we're going to line how you get a building permit in, Jefferson County. And then we're going to line out all of how you do the bank funding and who to talk to and your, multiple options. And then we're going to give you all those pitfalls of we've seen it all. I mean, we're building multiple jobs. We got multiple bank loans. And so your builder, and there's lots of great builders, they'll all be able to line you out and how that's going to happen.
Do you have an alignment or affiliation with architects that you like to work with?
Absolutely. I mean, we like working with all architects, but we definitely have, it's so easy when you work with an architect, multiple times, because you know what their details are like, and you know who to call when you have a question, and just how the plans are going to look, and you can budget for that. So those are great things to have. But there's both lots of relationships. So when we meet somebody for the first time, we'll see what they want out of the house. Do you want modern? Do you want more traditional timber? And then we try to get them to go and meet architects that fit that. So they're not, if you don't want a modern house, I'm not going to send you to, a certain architect, because we waste the time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Try to set them up with people that they're going to like, and different ranges of, price point too. I mean, everything, you got to really be honest with whoever you meet first, your architect or your builder, and to try to guide you in the right way.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, you can really clarify or be real specific. Like you said, if you want a modern home, not too big, and this is what your budget is, you could choose someone because you developed a rapport with the architects. You know how they work, probably like your subs. I mean, I'm sure you have great rapport with your subs, and you know how they work and they know how you work, and those expectations are important.
You don't have to start over every time, which is great.
Yeah. Start from scratch. What is your favorite thing? Shift gears a little bit here, just about living in Colorado. I know you said you have 3 daughters, and what do you guys like to do? And what do you like to do on weekends in Colorado?
Well, probably like a lot of people. It's the mountain biking and the trail hiking. We love paddleboarding as a family. Like, we always hit, one of the lakes, every other weekend or so. And it's just being outside. I guess that's our favorite thing about it. Exploring. There's so many cool towns. We have family in town, and we took them up to Breckenridge for the day, and like just a couple hour drive, or hour and a half drive, depending on traffic, right?
Yes.
You're up in these amazing spots, and your family who are from out of town, you're just like, you can be here in like an hour. It blows everybody away. And so we do see a lot of the same spots whenever somebody new comes, because it's just fun to show off Colorado. But even baseball games, I love that we can go an hour one way and be in some completely different town and show off Colorado that way, or we can we can take a train and be in like downtown Denver and go to a baseball game like the next day. Like, that's so cool.
I agree. There's so much to do in Colorado, depending upon, if you like to fly, fish, mountain bike, hike, ski, and then you're close to the city. So if you like to go to a Broncos game, baseball game, go to the art museum, I agree. I like that a lot too. And in the proximity in the foothills is, depending upon where you're at, 20 minutes, 15 minutes to, 45 minutes, whatever your threshold is for a commute. So
it's really unique.
Yeah. So Dan, you've really shared some great information. I really appreciate it. And I'm grateful for you taking time today. Where can people go to learn more about you and your company?
Well, our website is SummitRidgeCustomHomes.com, and our Instagram, SummitRidge Custom Homes. I think that's probably the best 2 places to find us. And, you can see what we're doing. We're really into sharing what's happening. They're not just all finished, pretty pictures. It's a, framing job, or, even the guys and the team. So those are the best 2 places to find us.
And is there anything you'd like to add that we didn't touch on?
No, I think it was great.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dan, very much. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you can enjoy Colorado this weekend with your family.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
To the Foothills, a Colorado lifestyle and real estate podcast. On the podcast, I interview real estate experts, Colorado adventurers, and residents who enjoy the serenity and lifestyle of living in our mountain communities. Tune in each week for a conversation that explores the ins and outs of buying the perfect mountain home or selling your dream home, and catch a glimpse into the Colorado lifestyle that's a part of you.